Welcome, new and old friends. My name is 242, and today I have two stories about revenge for you. The first is a petty revenge, and it's about a cat that just wants to tell you how he's feeling. The second is a Prorevenge, and it's about a woman who gets revenge on a terrible manager. So, grab yourself a tea or coffee before you sit back and listen to these stories. My cat was very petty. My old cat, Preston, was a very petty old man. I've got a ton of stories I could tell about things he did because we were trying to make his life easier in a way that made him uncomfortable. Like when we gave him a bath and he peed in the bath water. But this one is one of my favorites to tell. I was in middle school downtown, maybe a 20-minute drive on the highway from my house. This day, we were getting our floors redone, so of course, our dog and cat had to be out of the house. The way my mom remembers, she was just running errands wherever she could bring them before she went to pick me up from school at about 4. This was unusual because I usually got picked up about 6. And I was essentially surprised to find my Mastiff in the back seat of the trunk and my cat on the dash. Now, my cat hates traveling. He hates the car, his carrier. He wasn't even fond of me picking him up to get him off my seat. My mom warned me to be cautious for that reason, and to only bother him if he got in her way as she drove back home. Most of the trip, he was okay, if not a bit aggravated. My dog was having fun in the back seat with her nose on my arm. Until we got to the ramp to our exit, the cat decided this was the moment he wanted his revenge. So the cat hops onto the passenger seat while I'm still sitting in it and decides to take a poop. None of it got on me, as far as I can remember, but I was still mortified. He pooped on my seat, and I still had about 3 minutes in the car with it. Fortunately, there was a gas station nearby, which we stopped at to get the turd off my seat before getting home. I swear, if he didn't have a history of pulling stunts like this, I'd be very offended. Shorter petty revenge story. Once, when my parents were taking him to the vet, he peed in the carrier because he was mad. My father was having none of it, turned the carrier upside down after that, and the cat wasn't happy, but he never peed in that carrier again. I have never known cats to enjoy car rides. I have a dog, and she loves car rides, and if you check my Twitter, I post pictures of her twice a week. But I had a cat, Sammy, and she wanted none of it. Nothing to do with the car ride. She hated them. But no, I can see a cat completely doing this. This cat seems to have some, strong desires on what they can and cannot do, and it will tell them when they are past that line, like a cat does. That was a pretty good story. Blackmail me into not reporting an incident to the police after rejecting you? Prepare to lose your job. When I was 19, I worked in a one-man store in my local area. Sure, there were a lot of entitled people that came in, but there were also absolutely lovely regulars that I bonded with. Unfortunately, what happened didn't involve one of those nice regulars, but a creepy older man. This man was probably in his 40s, dirty, and just outright creepy. The store did not have any panic buttons, so when he came in, I was on my own. He was a pervert who would just come in to harass me. He would lean over the counter to stroke my arms, make disgusting, degrading comments towards me, and try to feel me up anytime I left the counter. I hated working there because of this guy. I reported him to my manager multiple times, but nothing was ever done. I even showed him the CTV, but again, nothing would happen. One day, the man came in saying extremely sexual things and tried to grab my breasts. I just snapped. I shoved him away from me and told him to get out of the store, and that if he didn't stop, I would report him to the police. The guy laughed at me and said there was nothing I could do until I pointed at the cameras. This enraged the guy, and he told me how he knew I lived in the area. So if he finds me, I would end up in the hospital because of the things he would do. He left, and I was absolutely terrified. I knew this guy was ex-military, and he could easily overpower me. After this, he came in the store displaying what looked like weapons and followed me when I visited local stores. On a shift swap, I nervously came into my work as the manager was cashing his till. He saw me and asked me what was wrong, and I told him what was happening. I said how I needed to report this guy to the police, but I needed evidence, so I mentioned the CCTV. My manager responded,
"I'm so sorry, but I'm afraid you can't do that. If you do, then they'll do a background check on you, and I'll have to tell them everything I know about you."
This terrified me even more. The manager was a friend of mine and the reason I got the job to begin with. He knew that I had home problems, so he was basically telling me that he would tell the police about it and rip my family apart. He added,
"See, I value you as a friend, but after seeing your true colors when you refused to go out with me, kinda tells me to be honest to the police. Do you really want to involve them?"
It became evident that the reason he never handled my complaints before is because I rejected him. He asked me out a few times, which I rejected, but didn't think much of. Sadly, this got to me, and I never reported what happened. As scared as I was, I didn't want my family to be destroyed, and wasn't going to go out with him just to get the evidence I needed. Instead, I started to plot my revenge against the manager. The area manager and my manager were good friends. He let him off with everything during the inspection, but rumor had it the area manager was moving to a different location, meaning the new one would come in and do an inspection. Knowing this, I patiently waited to see if this was true. One day, I went in and saw a man I had never seen before. It was the new area manager, and he was doing an inspection, while the manager wasn't there. Turns out he had met my manager before and did not like him one bit. So he was trying to find something to fire him over. He told me that he wanted to monitor the things I would do day to day in the shop, so I did. Badly. I made sure to mess up every chance I got. Not scanning items, not checking everyone's ID, stocking things wrong. You get the point. The area manager was horrified and asked if I was ever trained. I told him the truth. I wasn't. But he brought up the file saying I signed to say I did receive training. Luckily, my dad has always encouraged me to keep a log of everything I do at work, so I gave him the week I started and the day I signed it, telling him that he just told me to sign it and he could check the cameras, which of course he did. As a result, he sat me down and asked me what other things my manager did that he wasn't aware of. I told him everything. That he would make me and my coworkers take. I I told him everything, that he would make me and my coworkers take over his shifts to leave early, how he never fulfilled requests for holidays and took them away last minute, and even more, including how he never processed official complaints and would persuade us not to report incidents. He asked me what kind of incidents, and I told him about the customer and how he blackmailed me not to report it to the police, saying how the only way he was going to help me was if I dated him. The area manager was disgusted and asked if I had all the relevant dates to prove what I was saying. I handed my logbook and said I felt awful telling him all of this and didn't want anyone to get into trouble. That, of course, was a lie. Of course I wanted results. The area manager reassured me that nothing was going to happen to me, as this was all on the manager. I didn't hear much of it until my manager never came to work and a new guy was there. I asked where the manager was, and he told me he got fired. Turns out he had a hearing that he thought was just about how he managed the store, when it was actually a lot more serious than that. He wasn't just pulled up on what happened with me, but it was revealed that he was falsifying paperwork and falsifying his hours. He was stealing money from the store. So he was subsequently fired for falsifying documents, mistreating staff, abusing his power, and stealing. The latter he was going to be taken to court for. The area manager used everything I said against him. I quit a little after this, but I have a great relationship with the new manager. He is kind and a professional man. I also moved and never saw that customer again. I checked social media, and my old manager has blocked me on everything. I haven't heard from him personally since, but heard that he claimed I was lying and that I was a spiteful witch. At least he wasn't entirely wrong. I am a spiteful witch. Edit. I was still afraid of the customer throughout this. Had to look over my shoulder everywhere I went. I got to the point I stopped going out myself, only going out with my brother or a large group. I moved and quit because I couldn't live like that. The CCTV was kept for 7 months at the time on the computer system. Not sure if it has changed now, but if it had a date and time, you could find it on the system, no problem. Let's start with the misogynist piece of garbage that was her ex-manager. I'm so happy OP found an ally to finally take this guy down. He was doing a lot of things illegally, and he also blackmailed her to date him? Like, really? So I'm very happy he got taken to court and probably has his life ruined for at least a good while, if not forever, and it's his own darn fault. Now about the customer. I'm hoping she pressed some charges because this is only going to get worse from here. I hope you enjoyed these 2 stories today. I know it's been a while since I've done these kinds of videos, so tell me what you think in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video, hit that like button. If you want to hear more from me, then make sure you subscribe and turn that bell to all notifications. Come back this spooky, scary Sunday for my night videos. And have a good day, my friends.